Okay, so looked at some more. I just went more in depth and well, I know I explained what you can do for the galactic power you pledge to, but I never explained what you can do to combat other galactic powers. So in this video I want to explain kind of how you would go about undermining and hindering other galactic powers. So it looks like Felicia Winters dropped to rank 5 here from the standing. Sucks, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know, I feel like there is somebody or a group of some people who are pledged to Felicia Winters who are working out of a system, and they're putting a lot of time and effort into preparing that system for expansion. I don't know why. If we do expand in that system, we lose credits, we lose command capital per week, but hey, that's what they want to do, so that's what they're gonna do. And yeah, I'm kind of saying it because I hope that person sees this video and is like, oh okay, I didn't even know. But maybe there's a reason that I'm not seeing, I don't know. But it looks like Zemia Turval, which I think in one of my last videos I thought she was the mother of these guys, but I'm thinking maybe I read the name wrong, so I wanted to correct that too. So these two are probably sisters or something, or mom or daughter, who knows. But anyway, you can look at the lore, find some research on it somewhere, but she's got a little explanation point because she's got a system in turmoil. So I can go here and I can run amok in this system and, you know, undermine this system even further so that the command capital gets even lower, or gets more expensive to keep her upkeep on this. Right now it's in turmoil, so its upkeep is kind of high and is higher than her capital that she can spend, okay, for this week. So unless they can expand into territories that add command capital to her command capital, or unless she can undermine, well, unless she can add command capital by expanding into territories or preparing territories for expansion, well, she'd have to expand. So let's see if she's got any expanding. No, she's not going to expand. So she's going to basically lose her control over this system next week when it resets, because it doesn't look like anybody's really trying to expand her command capital, so she's gonna lose this system, probably, most likely. I'll check back next week and you'll see the results. But yeah, so she's got a system in Toronto. That's what happens when your command capital cannot afford the upkeep for a particular system. And it looks like this system might have been undermined by one of the other alliances, or one of the other factions, or a bunch of the other factions. You know, it just got undermined. So that's why his command capital is so high, or its upkeep is so high. It looks like its upkeep is 236. Oh no, that's her current command capital. We can upkeep from last cycle. Yeah, default up. Okay, so yeah, it got undermined. So If you see its upkeep, if Undermine is 162, its default upkeep is 34. So if nobody if nobody did any undermining in the system at all, or if it didn't do enough to actually undermine the system, then she would have had a 34 command capital that to upkeep for this particular system, and plus 62.1 command capital for the overhead, and she would have been able to probably afford this system, and she would have had afford to keep it under control, keep this system under control. But it got undermined last cycle, and now its upkeep is 162 plus 62.1 for the overhead, for the command capital overhead. I don't know what that is, but do some more research. But and if at the end of this cycle, this system is still in a deficit, if the command capital is still in a deficit, I guess they can do things to keep it from being undermined. And so if you're under Zema Torval, or you're pledged to her, you can actually go to this system and do something special to keep it from, you could do missions and things there in order to keep it from being undermined, to make the undermining fail, or to restore order, balance, or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not pledged to her, so I don't have that problem. But anyway, so and then they can make it so that instead of being undermined and in a state of revolt next cycle, it'll be under control, and it'll be the default upkeep. It'll be fortified. Well, if they are able to fortify it, maybe. I don't know if you can upkeep. I don't know if you can come back from a state of turmoil and fortify the system in the same week. But that's kind of what happened. That's for this system. All right, it's probably different for different systems, but this is like the stats. All right, so upkeep from last cycle, it got undermined. So this cycle now is 162 for her command capital. All right, so that's why she's that's why it's in turmoil. Now, if it didn't get undermined last cycle, its default upkeep would be 34 command capital plus the overhead. However, if it had been fortified last week, and it would be fortified this week, it would be no command capital plus the 62.1 overhead. So it would just be 62.1 for that command capital, which is great for her. That means she has more command capital to spend on expansion, or to fortify other systems with, or she has some, she has some command capital to protect from being undermined. You could protect the systems from being undermined, and then you can also fortify the systems from being undermined. So I guess maybe that's the same thing. I don't know. If you know better, please put it in the comments, or let somebody know. Anyway, send me a message, something. And then, since it got undermined, it's the 162. Now this system's base income, okay, is 128. So normally this system will bring in 128 command capital. All right, that's how much it would bring in. Now, since it's bringing in that 128, you would subtract its upkeep from that. And then you could tell if that system is a system that will gain command capital each week, or if it will lose command capital. So that's kind of how that's a way you can make your decisions on which systems you want to fortify, which systems you want to prepare for expansion, which systems that you really want to go hard with. Like if you prepare like multiple systems for expansion, right, and then you've got multiple systems listed, You want to make sure certain of those systems get expanded into next quarter so that they'll be up for fortification, and then they'll be part of your alliance, and then they'll be part of your system. But yeah. So anyway, this is kind of you don't see this. I don't think on your own. If you go here, you won't see it on. So it doesn't really give you that information here, but I wish it. I kind of wish it did. Maybe it does it. It probably does it somewhere. There you go. Okay, so all the systems that your alliance controls, you'll find under control. You'll find all that information here. So if you want to like really go in depth about it, if you really want to go in depth about this whole galactic powers thing, you're gonna have to check who you pledged with. All right, first on the standings screen, or just go here. All right, it's the same thing. And then if you wanna know what state your alliance in, like to the command capital T, like you wanna like. That's cool if you look at the overview and then you see the current status there. You see your galactic standing is 5, okay, which makes sense. All right, and then it decreased from last cycle, and then you see this is the command capital income from 730 exploited systems. Okay, those are just the exploited systems. Those aren't the controlled systems. I don't think. Maybe that is the controlled systems in there too. Probably. I don't know. You'd have to do some looking. But those are your command capital income from the systems that you control. All right. We control 730 systems all together. I want to say. There's a stat somewhere. There it is. Okay, so yeah, this is your control details. So this is where you can find, exact numbers, but I'm just looking here. I think you want to look at the control systems as what you're doing here. All right. Well, I don't. I'll have to look a little bit more on that. I didn't really look at that much, but yeah, you can from those exploited systems, and then you can see the command capital upkeep for 68 control kit systems. And so when you subtract, and then you've got the command capital overheads for those particular systems, and when you subtract those two numbers from the top number, you get that bottom number. You get the total command capital. Let me just do this. I just want to be certain here. I don't want to give you guys incorrect info. I probably should have done this. Alright. Yep. Well, it's off. It's off by 1, it looks like. Let me just do the math again. 5, 8. Okay, let me do this. 660 plus 4222 equals 4822. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be 102, but I guess it's rounding it down. I guess it didn't quite make it, because some of the overheads are like point 0.1, something like that. So it might have just been like just under for some of those overheads. But anyway, so 1001 is what we're left over at the end of the cycle. So that's how much total command capital that's available from last cycle. After all the changes and set is done, that's how much we got, and so that's how much we can use to prepare, to spend in preparation, or to consolidate all this into all this command capital. We could spend it and then into consolidating, and instead of preparation, we'll just use that command capital to actually fortify our current things, so our current systems in this control here. So that's cool, you know. I mean, so where did we get this number from anyway? Like, where did we get this CC income from those exploits? So how will we see that? Well, slide on over to control, and then you can see all the base income here. You can see all of the systems that we have is a whole list. You can see which systems give you command capital, you know, the base income there, and then you can see how much each system costs to upkeep, to keep our control, to keep Felicia Winter's control over those systems. Alright, Federation control over those systems. So you can see, like, for instance, this system, from the last cycle, well, if you look at it right now, it's being undermined. Alright, so I could go over to this system and start fortifying the system. Alright, and then protect it from being undermined. Alright, it's currently being it's currently in a fortified state, but once that red hits the trigger, I guess, on the right there, once that bar rises up to the trigger, to the line there, then it becomes threatened, and then we'll have to fortify it and stuff by hitting the triggers. So this system's upkeep from last cycle was 0 because it was fortified last cycle. We managed to keep it from being undermined last cycle, and it was actually fortified. And so its command capital is 0. So, or its upkeep, the command capital cost, or the upkeep cost is 0 command capital. So all that command capital is put into the available command capital. So all these that are fortified is 0. Look. So all of that command capital that would be in the upkeep is going to our available command capital, right? Because we don't have to pay it, and that's a big old goose egg for the upkeep costs. Except for this one. Well, it's being fortified now this time, so you see the progress made. So it's being fortifying now, or we're fortifying it now. So last time it wasn't fortified. Now it's being fortified. So hopefully next week it'll have an upkeep of 0. So this is important. If you want to fortify, if you want to bring down your upkeep, fortify your controlled systems by going to control and then doing the fortifying task network or whatever, do that. And you'll be helping lower your command capital. You'll be helping lower the upkeep costs for your systems, and that'll give your faction more command capital to expand and expand your network with, all right, your faction with, your control systems with. So that available command capital will be spent here. So far it looks like somebody went hog wild on Tau 1 Hydra again, or did a bunch of preparation work by delivering propaganda to this system, and they just been pouring it on probably a group of people. So they've done, you know, 6,953 units of prep. So they filled their cargo holds with that and delivered it to the system. I don't know how many times, I don't know how many people, but that's what they did. And same here. Some people put some here, some people put some here. I did put some in Visti, but I guess it wasn't enough to get on this list. But I could put some more. Maybe bring in, you know, a good 100 or something. I don't know. I'll bring in some more on Visti. I want to do Visti because the command capital that you earn, you'll earn command. So that's this. All right, that's this. So that's how you can control, you know, or kind of put your vote in, your 2 cents in on the galactic power the galactic power that you're allied with. All right. Now, so what do you do? What can we do to undermine other factions? Because this lady got undermined. So how do we do this? How do we undermine these people? You know, how do we show this on other? How do we do that? So instead of, if you want to undermine another faction, first off, you'll have to go here. All right, you have to go to the galactic power standing. All right, and then just pick one of these guys, any of these guys. If you're not allied to it, it's going to show you what you can do to. It's going to show you the information you need to know to undermine that faction. So let's go to the top one, because you know they're at the top. It shows you their standings. It shows you their current status. I guess everybody knows. You know, that's it. We got more command capital available, so than they do. So we could, you know, spend more money on expanding or fortifying this cycle. You know what I mean? Than they have. So they may be the top next week, but they probably won't be the top. I mean, they may be the top this week, but they probably won't be the top next cycle. Who knows? Let's see what kind of work they do in their faction. Then it gives you the pledging information, and it gives you what happens if you defect to her, and then it gives you the option to defect at the bottom. So all of this stuff is now showing you what would happen, you know, if you started defecting to her. Alright, preparation. So if you want to, since you're pledged to Felicia Winters, it's going to show you information on how to undermine her preparation, okay, in these systems. So you look over here, the Emperor's staff reaches. It tells you how she prepares systems. The Emperor's staff researches intelligence from systems to expose endemic corruption. These damning reports are used to highlight the benefits of imperial justice. That's how she prepares systems for expansion. Alright. I don't think you can vote. Oh, well, I guess it's showing you voting information. I don't know if you could vote. I don't have a vote, so I didn't earn one this, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe I need to go somewhere to pick it up or something. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But you can click on a system, alright, and it'll tell you how to undermine the preparation. Oh, wait. Okay, so it does show you how to prepare. So I guess you can't do anything. Yeah, it was just showing you which system she's preparing. So you can't really do anything to, or you won't find the information here to do this. But if you do go to this system and you do start preparation work in this system, and it's not our system that's controlled, then that system will be it'll be a competing system, or a system in competition between Duval and Felicia Winters. So that's how that happens. Alright, and then expansion. Alright, so this is telling you how to how to oppose the expansion. So this is where you can start undermining and opposing expansions into other systems. This is just the ones that this is just the systems that that other factions are trying to expand into. They're in their expansion phase. This isn't a system that's already been controlled. This is a system that was prepared last cycle and is now being expanded into this cycle. To save a system from the corruption of their own officials, Emperor Duval, Limini Duval, dispatches contingents of her own fleet and private contractors to root them out. Alright, that's, sorry for the quality of the broadcast, but that's what she does. Alright, now how to oppose that? Oppose Emperor Duval's Duval's interference by destroying Imperial enforcers at crime sweeps and systems she is expanding into, and in confirmation of the kill to contacts in our control systems. That's how you oppose that expansion. You see, some people have already tried to oppose it. So, if it gets opposed, then it stays in its current state. So, let's say it's an uncontrolled system. If it gets opposed, then it stays an uncontrolled system next week. If it doesn't, if it succeeds, if they succeed and their expansion succeeds, then it becomes a control system, and then they get the command capital from it next week. However, if it's a controlled, if this system is controlled by another faction already, that faction, it'll stay. If the opposition stops the expansion, then it stays a controlled system of that other person. If it doesn't, if the expansion succeeds, then it becomes, alright, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it makes sense. I just didn't go over where this stuff was. So I could go here and I could oppose this faction expanding into this system, and go to this system, and I could start destroying Imperial enforcers at crime sweeps. Go find some crime sweeps, pop in there, destroy Imperial enforcers, and then I'll take all those combat bonds, I guess is what it would be, to Felicia Winters systems, and then this opposition will go up. So right now the total opposition is 450. So somebody's been doing some work, but they need to hit the trigger of 833. It looks like the Duval's people are, players who are allied with Duval are actually winning right now, are succeeding in this expansion. They've already hit the trigger, but and it has to wait until next week. So next week this system will probably be a Lavaney Duval system, controlled system next week, and then that potential -9 command capital will be hers. So that'll probably be an increase to her command capital anyway. So basically, what will happen here for Levani Duval, her empire, gain this system, which will add command capital to her system. But since the upkeep for this system is higher than its command capital, she's going to have a higher upkeep than her available command capital, or than her earned command capital. So it's going to be a decrease to her available command capital, which is bad for her because if her earned command capital isn't enough to pay for the upkeep of this system, then this system, the week after it's in the control, could be in a state of turmoil. Or it could be easier to undermine because it's already, you know, got a negative, it's already got a negative command capital for this system. It's already got a negative command capital value. So if this system, if somebody really wanted to be, you know, if we wanted to, like, if this was our system and we wanted to win it back, then all we need to do is we could just let them have it, and then next week we can in the control we can go and undermine this system to the point where it takes her command capital down even further. So it works against her. In my opinion, this is how I understand this game. If that's not the case, please let me know, because I don't want to like confuse anybody. But from you know, just from me looking at this, that's what I'm thinking. So it's better to have control systems that have a positive, where you earn command capital each week, as opposed to losing command capital each week. And then its exploited systems will boost your command capital, and you'll have more command capital to work with. You know what I mean? The more command capital you can earn, the more command capital your faction earns, the more they can expand. And that's what you want. You don't want to, I mean, unless you want to see your alliance or your faction fall, you know, in the standing, and you want to see it get smaller on the map, you know, you'll see less and less of Felicia Winters on the map, you know, and then you'll go and you'll try to work in systems that have a negative command capital, or has a loss each week. So anyway, and you'll be fortifying those and getting more L's instead of gaining systems that will give you a boost. So and then too, you know, other systems, and then you gotta, if you do little things for the factions in each system, okay, like for instance, if you're, I don't know though. I don't know if the state of the system affects its command capital that it earns. So like, I don't know if the system is in a state of outbreak, or the factions within the system are in a state of outbreak, or the controlling faction is in a state of outbreak. Does that decrease the command capital? I doubt it. But I don't know. That's another thing. I don't know where each system gets their command capital earnings from. So, under control, like, I don't know where they get the base income from. That's something I gotta look up. So I'm gonna look up the base income and what determines a system's base income. Because if it is off the work, the little mini missions you do, you know, earning influence for the controlling faction, all that, if that has something to do with it, then you know it all ties together. It's kind of cool. But anyway, so this is how you would expand into this, or this is how you would oppose. Now, any faction can oppose this expansion. Any faction except for Levani Duval, you guys can't oppose it. The only thing you can do to stop your own faction from expanding into another system is by not doing any work. You just don't do any work. All right, that's it. But if you're in another faction, this is what you have to do. It just may be different for your faction. You may not have to kill anything. Or anybody. I don't know. But this is how Felicia Winter's faction opposes expansions. So you got that work. All right. If we do enough work, if other factions do enough work, then the trigger will go, the opposition will go up, and then the expansion will fail, and it'll stay where it is. Let's see what it is. I'm just curious. Alright, so it was it looks like it was an uncontrolled faction. I mean, an uncontrolled system. Yeah, it was an uncontrolled system on the outside. So she's trying to expand out there. Her people are trying to expand out there. You see the white bubbles? Those are all the Levani Duvals. It'll be, if I'm looking at my faction, or whatever faction you're looking for, or you're looking at, is going to be white. Other factions are going to have their colors, so that way you can see who's who and what. So if you're already looking at this, like you've selected this and that's what you're looking at, then there you go. So she's got 81 controlled systems. Now, a controlled system is a main system that is control over other exploited systems around it. I don't know how much. I mean, there are videos that explain this a little bit more in depth as to like what a control system is and what an exploited system is. You could look on YouTube. The training videos in game go over the power play. They take you to those YouTube videos. I suggest you look at those for the power play. They'll explain it, but it's a little bit surface. So then you can come back to my stream, and then you could probably get a little bit better of an understanding of what's going on. So this system, the radius income is 82 command capital each week. So that's what it adds. All right, that's this system and all the exploited systems that this has. If it has some contested systems, I guess that affects it, but and its upkeep for this control system is 91 command credit, or maybe that's it. Maybe the control system has the upkeep, and that's it, and then its radius provides the income. Alright, so if the systems around it provide more income than this control system's upkeep, then you get a gain in your command capital. Maybe that's how that works. Makes sense. I don't know. Again, look at those videos. So yeah, it was an uncontrolled system. So if this system does not succeed, or if the opposition succeeds and the system gets opposed, then it stays an uncontrolled system, and then they can go into the preparation phase next week for this system. Alright, and then it'll be up again the week after, the following week, for expansion. They'll go through the process. That's how you can stop another faction from expanding into another system. Let's say you're trying to You're gonna prepare a system, or you're in the process of preparing the system, and it got prepared 1 week, and now it's being expanded in by Levaney Duvall, and it was this system, and you're like, oh, they got it. Well, you want to stop them from expanding it, put it back into uncontrolled system, or you want to, get it to where you can prepare it again, then boom, there you go. Do this. I believe yeah, I believe you can do both all in 1 week. So I could prepare the Sin expansion, or any stated Sin, if it was even a control system. If I want to go into the system, all I need to do is bring political propaganda to the system, hand it in, and then this system will be up for preparation. It'll be prepared for expansion. It'll start the preparing phase for its expansion. Now, what I could do to stop it from becoming a control system next week is I can prepare it. Also, I can oppose the expansion into it. Alright? And then it'll be up for expansion. If, let's say, it goes through the preparation phase and it gets the votes and everything, it gets the preparation and it's ready to be prepared. Next week it'll be an expansion under us. It'll be an expansion under Felicia Winters instead of Levaney Duvall. Now, if she expands into it next week, and I get to expand into it next week, it'll be contested. Right? And then we'll have to fortify it, or we'll have to expand into it and all this good stuff. I think there's more in depth than that, but I don't really know. But it becomes a contested system, and I guess that's how some of these systems have been contested. And I think if this system becomes contested, like we do, like Felicia Winters does, preparation work, all right, and it becomes an expanded, and she ends up expanding into the system, Duvall here, and it becomes her controlled system, and it becomes contested by Felicia Winters and Duvall, and we end up fortifying it, or we end up expanding into it too. Then it's we can both fortify it, and then whoever fortifies it the most, maybe that would make sense, but I don't know. Yeah, or maybe not. Maybe it's maybe we can go into maybe if it gets undermined, and whoever has the command capital to control it, maybe. I don't know. The command capital is generated by the system, though, but I don't really know how contested systems work, so that would be a question to ask. Let me see here. I'm gonna try to find a contested system. That's another thing to think about too. If you see what I just did, all right. So this system right here is a control system. LTT. That's a control system. The radius is this little bubble, as you can see. It's like a little bubble, and it's got other systems into it. This is another control system. Alright. So if we switch over from the power play, you'll see all the other systems within that bubble. So for instance, this system right here, this system might be in the bubble. Yeah, it's in the bubble. It disappeared because it's a special thing. So yeah, so this system is exploited. Alright, this is an exploited system by this control system. So whoever has this control system, this system right here goes into the command capital of this system. So there's this system. Oh, it's contested. Why is it? Where is it? There it is. I wonder why this system is a contested system. And that's contested. Oh, because it falls into a control system of none other than Felicia Winters, I believe. If we zoom out, maybe we can see it. Yeah, it kind of overlaps. It's orange, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, it looks like it may overlap a little bit. The bubbles, the orange and the white there. Can't really see it, but it looks like it overlaps. Like it just kind of, like you can see it here. Kind of overlaps over the LTT. So this LTT system is a control system of Levaney Duvall's. All right. That overlap and has some exploited systems that Felicia Winters overlaps. And we would have to switch back over to Felicia Winters to see what system that is. Looks like this one. Yeah, looks like Sanos. Yeah, Sanos. So Sanos has some exploited systems that are in Levaney Duvall's territory as well. So those systems are contested. They go both. Now what that means I don't know yet. I haven't done enough research to figure that out yet, but I'll try to find out what that is. Let's see. Yeah, high profit systems are green, medium profit systems, low profit systems, loss making systems. Yeah, this will give us a profit. This will give us more command capital. This system will give us more command capital. It's a negative. You know, it's still a negative. It's a potential loss for us each week. However, it's a lower potential loss than other, and let's say this medium profit, which is 31, or this red, which is 56, you know, or this 74. So you want to expand into systems that will give you a high profit, which number one, where is it? There it is. There's that bad boy. Let me show you. This is a medium profit system. us expanding into this system will give us a lower profit than, I'm trying to find a green one, than expanding into one of these systems. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're expanding, because, however, maybe this system over here that they're trying to expand into, that we're trying to expand into, is a strategic system. You know, maybe if we gain this system and we gain a system over here, then we can get more of a profit. And then of course it takes that command capital away from whoever this green is, which is Edmund Mahan. It'll take away from his total command capital. However, he could expand, or he could fortify some systems to lower his upkeep to, you know, close to 0. And you know, this week he could fortify his systems, and his command capital that he would have lost here would have, you know, the command capital he would have lost from this would have been covered, because, you know, he doesn't have as much, so he still has enough command capital to expand. You know what I mean? So taking this might be a good idea if he doesn't fortify enough of his systems. Then he has, you know, less command capital to work with. However, if players fortify their systems in this alliance, in this faction, then they'll have the command capital still left over to expand, which will raise his standing. You know, you know, I believe. Let me just check and make sure that that's correct. Yeah. All right. So the income right here is 6. Okay. So no, that doesn't. Oh, but his, I guess the reason why he's number 2, because he does have a lot of command capital from his systems. He gets a lot of command capital. He should be expanding hand over fist, but no, I don't think people are exploiting. I mean, either people are undermining him because he was number 1, so people are actively trying to undermine him, which is raising his upkeep. He's got a lot of systems that he's not fortifying. That could be it. The people aren't fortifying these systems, which could be because people try to expand, and so that boosted his command capital. You know, maybe he spent command capital spent a lot of his available command capital last week to expand in, and so a lot of his systems are up for expansion, or they actually went through the expansion phase. Let's see. Yeah, he could just have some. He could just have some undermined, a lot of undermined, and that would make his upkeep higher. So, and then that'll give him less available income. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, I can't say that is because she's got the most available income, but she doesn't have a lot of earned income. She doesn't have as much as these guys. See, she's got a lot of earned income from her systems, and she also has a lot of command capital available, but she's number 3, and I guess that's because he's got a whole bunch, but he doesn't have as much available as she does. And then you got this guy, so I don't know how. Again, I don't really know how the standings work. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I do know getting command capital, gaining your command capital is better than losing it. Maybe it could be the work done. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so I still wanna do more than just stop expansion. So I can't really do much about the one she's preparing other than go and prepare in the system she's trying to prepare in. You can do that. I can go to those systems and prepare in those, do prepare work in those systems. And then we'll both be preparing in those systems. And then we'll both hit the expansion phase, and then whoever, you know, gets their expansion through gets to control that system. If they both get through, then it becomes a contested system. And then I don't know what the next phase in that is. However, let's say you want to do more than just stop her from expanding in the systems. You can actually go and undermine her systems. So this is the overview here. The overview. So Emperor Lady Duval upholds law and order by maintaining a military garrison in her controlled systems. They are on constant alert and ready to mete out imperial justice to wrongdoers. I might have said that word mete or whatever, but anyway, I might have said that wrong. So how you undermine that and how you undermine the control she has over these factions is undermine Imperial Lady Duval's hold on her control systems by destroying Imperial supply ships found there. Bring confirmation of their kills to contacts in our control systems. So I'll go find some supply ships, and that'll, which makes sense. You know, I'm disrupting the supply chain to these systems, which makes them weaker, makes them unfortified, and she'll start to lose control over that system. They won't get the supplies they need. Their command capital upkeep, their upkeep will shoot up, and hopefully she won't have the command capital to fortify or to keep her control over that system next week. And then their system goes into a state of turmoil, which is bad for her, because then that's command capital lost, and that's standing lost, and she ends up looking like Zamina Terval, with a system in turmoil. And a negative available income, so she can't expand, and she can't expand this thing. I mean, she could probably expand, but she'll be more, her command capital will be, her available command capital will be lower. So she might have to, any systems that had been prepared, alright, last week, she can now, and made it through, she can now expand into this week. But she's also got this to deal with, so she'll have to, players who are allied with her will have to bring that system back from turmoil and bring that command capital back to a positive. And then she'll be able to expand next week, or prepare systems for expansion next week. So there you go. So again, you wanna undermine any faction, you can go to this guy, start undermining him. He'll be like, why are you picking on me? But anyway, you can go and undermine this guy. You can undermine everybody except for your own faction. You'll just be fortifying them. So that's the other side of things. If you wanna, you know, and then it's different. You know, you disrupt Pranav Atal's grip on the control system by destroying reform ships and handing in confirmation of any kills to contacts in our control system. So this is, you know, you just go do some killing, and then, you know, you hand those combat bonds in to your Felicia Winter's control systems, and then that system becomes Undermine. And what undermining does is increases the upkeep of that system, which in turn lowers the available command capital for that faction, and puts systems in a state of turmoil if they don't have enough command capital to cover those upkeep costs, those increased upkeep costs. So, like, for instance, Edmund Mahan, if we went, I took like a team of 20 people, and we went and just straight went ham on his systems, undermining this system and that system and this system, and this undermined so many systems, just went around undermining. All right, and he lost, you know, his upkeep went up by 1,000. His upkeep went up by 1,000, which I don't know if that's a lot of an increase. It could be, maybe not. I mean, that's probably what, about 10 systems. We end up undermining 10 of his systems this week. What, 2 a day? Yeah, we do enough work in 2 a day, and then end up undermining, you know, 2 of his systems. We hit 2 triggers a day. I end up undermining 10 of his systems, which increases his upkeep, I think, by 100. But anyway, increases his upkeep by 1,000. All right, and now his upkeep is 4,013, and his overheads is 8,000. No, his overheads would stay the same. And his overheads is 7,000. His upkeep goes up to 4,000, and his overhead stays the same. So now he's got 4,000 coming out of that thing. It'll bring his command capital, available command capital, into a negative. All right, because we just raised his command capital. So one of his systems, or one of those systems that we undermine, will probably go into a state of turmoil, and then I'll have a turmoil thing. I don't know if you can do that many systems, so, you know, if we increase his upkeep for next week, if we increase his upkeep by by undermining his systems, and it's enough to get that, it's enough to bring that command, you know, that available command total to like 600, is 662 instead of 700, which that could probably happen. Then he'll still be in a positive. He'll still have enough command capital to expand his systems. You know what I mean? And still have that 11,000 command capital or more next week. So you keep that in mind. Like, he could take a few turmoils, a few systems being in turmoil, you know, or he could take a few undermined systems because he's got so much command capital. So we gotta keep that in mind. She could take some systems too. I know that we could take a few systems being undermined because we got a lot of command capital. We can expand into several different. If we didn't vote for consolidation as much this week, and actually expanded into systems that gave us a high profit, then we would increase our available command capital, and we would increase the command capital income from exploited systems. We would also increase our upkeep, but if we do high profit systems, our upkeep won't increase as much, and our overheads won't increase as much. And then we'll have more command capital to expand into next week and fortify to protect our systems from undermining. So to think about when battling it out with these galactic powers. So I've earned so that's pretty much it, I think. I need to look into contested systems and what happens there, and then I'll get back to you guys on that one. That'll be another stream. But I managed to raise my rating, congratulations, and I did like 100 and some odd, 140 or something like that units, moved 140 units of political propaganda, liberal political propaganda to, excuse me, none other than the Visti system, and raised my rating to rating 2. So I got a weekly bonus next week. This kicks in next week. I made enough last week to make me this rating this week. Alright, so when next week comes around, when it resets again, I'll gain all of that listed under rating 2. I'll get that. Alright, that'll be in my inbox or whatever. This week I had rating 1 because I was rating 1 last week, but now that I'm rating 2 this week, next week I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get that weekly bonus of 50 credits, 50,000 credits, and a consolidation vote. So I'll be able to vote whether we consolidate or prepare, which is great. And then instead of just the regular 10, I can do 15. I think I can do 15 now. No, I think it's just 10. I don't know. It might be. No, I'm not in the control system. But I'll be able to instead of gaining 10 items for, like, instead of getting 10 liberal propaganda units of propaganda every half hour, I'll be able to get 15, and then I'll be able to deliver 15 to these systems every half hour without having to pay 100,000 credits to fast track it to the next quota, which is great. But even still, if it might be more. It might be 150,000 credits to fast track it with the 15, because I know it upped it. It upped the. Yeah, I think it ups it. But anyway, yeah, it takes. You pay over 100,000 credits to carry more than 10 packets of 10 power commodity. All right, to do that, to allocate the power commodity, you know what I'm saying, every hour or whatever. You don't have to fall under that if you pay over 100,000 credits or 100,000 credits and up. But I might show that in another time. So yeah, that's nice. And some credits carried over from last week. So some merits carried over from last week. I had 65 merits that carried over from last week, and I've earned 15 merits this week. So what I'll do is, or did I get that? No, I didn't get the vote, but I can now do that 15 power allocation every hour since it's on a half-hour loop. So that change happened, but the other changes didn't happen this week. I still had the pay from last week. But anyway, I think yeah. Anyway, I could go and earn enough credits easily now to gain this merit rating again this week, and then all I have to do is I could go for the 75, the 750 merits this week. I'm doing 15 more power commodity. I can, I got enough time. I could just up it to 1075, and then next week I'll get the 500,000 credits and a consolidation vote. And then I'll probably get access to that pulse disruptor, but I have to wait another 2 weeks before I can do that. So before I even have access to that. So yeah, some credits carry over from week to week, so keep that in mind. I don't know what goes into that. I don't know what factors go into what merits carry over, but there you go. So last week we did consolidate it, all of it. We consolidated. So the command capital was spent on consolidation. Okay, so it's saying here that all preparation below this entry in the top 9 will be canceled at the end of the cycle. Any CC command capital saved in this way will be used to increase the trigger for undermining the powers systems in the following cycle. The current voting status may take up to an hour to refresh. Undermining the powers systems. You know what? I think that's a typo. I want to say that's a typo. Because it's talking about defense and undermine defense. Increase the trigger for... Oh! Yeah, you want to increase the trigger for undermining your power systems. that means that the opposition has a higher goal to reach than yours, and that will stop. Sorry for the static. That will stop them from actually undermining your system. So that's a good idea. That's a good thing. All right, so I figured it out. Oh, good, because I was worried. I was like, I don't want to undermine my systems, but no. If you vote for consolidation, everything, all the command capital used in consolidation, everything underneath consolidation will be used for consolidation. All the command capital that you would have. Okay, so let's say for instance, right now it's at the bottom. So right now, as it stands, we'll use 1,001 credits to pay for the cost of expanding into Tau, LHS, Boro, and Cheronium. Okay, we'll use, which is add that up. Let's see. Okay, I gotta pull out my calculator. 119 plus 169 plus 109 plus 479. Nope, 497. Alright, so 497 out of that 1001 will be used to pay for the cost of expanding into those into those systems in next week. So we're preparing them this week. All right, that's what we're doing, and then these systems will be in expansion next week. If we don't vote, if everybody else votes for preparation, and we don't get enough consolidation votes. The more consolidation votes we get, the higher up consolidation goes on this list. All right. So if consolidate, and then we do 497 plus 504 equals our thing. So if consolidation passes the prep work done for Charonium, because people did enough votes for consolidation this week, then it'll be 604 used for consolidation. All right, and this will be underneath here. These two will switch, and it'll be the command capital number right there, the 100cc, will be red, meaning it's not going to go through. It's going to be canceled. So the prep work for this system will be canceled if it drops below consolidation, which is fine. We'll have more consolidation on. We'll have more command capital going into fortifying and defending our current systems that we hold, which will assist us in lowering our. Well, it won't lower it. It won't lower it because you have to actively fortify it, but it will keep our cost. It'll keep our cost from going up. Or it'll keep our upkeep from going up with this command capital. So if we use that 504 command capital for consolidation, which you will, because there's nothing, we don't have enough systems preparing. We're not doing a full preparation. If we get 9 systems that are way above consolidation, and we don't get enough consolidation votes to bring this up then we won't use any command capital for consolidation. So if we get more systems on this list, then that'll mean less command capital for consolidation. But if we vote enough for consolidation for this to go up to the top, then we won't do any preparation, and then we'll have this, which is what happened last week. We had no systems to expand, and so none of the systems were prepared last week. This one didn't get prepared last week. It got canceled, and so now we didn't expand at all, and all the command capital we had last week went into fortifying the systems we have control over by raising the trigger for undermining. So let's say this one, the trigger got raised last week. So if you were doing work in this system, okay, to undermine it last week, which I don't know if it was. I thought it was. But if you were doing work to undermine the system last week, and you noticed that the trigger increased, you know what I mean? The trigger to undermine it wasn't reached, then then it didn't get undermined, and I think it got canceled. So yeah, it didn't get undermined. It didn't get fortified either. So we didn't fortify it. We weren't able to undermine it. So it didn't get undermined. It didn't get fortified. So it stayed its default upkeep cost. If we were able to hit the fortification trigger last week, then it would have been. Oh no. What happened was they were able to reach the trigger. They were able to reach the trigger. We both reach our triggers, so it canceled each other out. So our opposition reached the trigger for undermining, okay, and we reached the trigger for fortifying. So what that did was we fortified it, which canceled their opposition from undermining, but they also undermined it, which canceled our fortification of it. So we just canceled each other out. That's what happened last week, and that probably happened that way due to players working and due to that consolidation stuff we did. So it raised their trigger. It probably raised their trigger high, but they had done enough work to get it, and then we had done enough work to do it, so it just stayed default, which is cool. This one's under threat though, so this one did enough work, so this one's gonna be probably default next. Oh no, it's gonna be, yeah, it might be Undermine next week, so it'll be 156 command capital next week to keep that. Which, what is this? This looks familiar. Bet you whoever's this yellow is probably the ones who undermined that. Yeah. They probably slid over in here to one of the control systems and started undermining this Chinese, the Li Yong Rui probably came over here and started undermining one of our systems, which makes sense. They probably want to, can take control of this stuff too. What is this? Oh, yeah. So any players allied under Atal here, guess what? I bet you they're coming for you. He's probably undermining your systems. Rui's probably undermining your systems because he wants to get all this in there, which is good for him. It's probably going to be a profit. Yeah, that's a profit. That's a profit for him if he can, could be a profit for us too if we start doing work in here. We'll have that system out there and be able to start control. So let's say Felicia Winters wants to take that profit, right? We can start preparing this system and we'll take that 60cc profit radius and we'll take that profit to our command capital and probably do some real good stuff with it since we're right here too. You could how you would, the best way to go about it is you would pick a control system that's close to the system you want to expand in. So for instance, this system right here, go back to Felicia Winters, this system right here is a control system. Alright, this is our control system. It's being threatened by Yang Rui and his people. However, this is still under our control. So if you go here and you go to the contacts and you go to the power contact, you can, and you're under Felicia Winters, you can pick up liberal propaganda from here, and then you can take it to prepare the system here, this control system here. And then if we get enough preparation work done, if we get enough packets here, then this one be on that list, and the top, the ones that are above the colors consolidation will be up for expansion next week. All right, and so then this one right here, if we do enough work, it'll be under the expansion column. Then we'll do expansion work here, and then it'll be up to everybody else playing this game to oppose our expansion here and to keep Felicia Winters from controlling this system. However, if nobody opposes us and we control this, we get enough liberal propaganda to the system, and the system gets educated on Felicia Winters, guess what? It'll become a controlled system the week after that. And so that next week, we'll have that command, that 60 command capital increase to our available, well, it'll be to our earned command capital, which is great, awesome. You know what I mean? Because the upkeep probably won't raise so much. So yeah, that'll be a good place for us to go into, and it'll be easy because it says the nearest control system is right next to you. Yeah, it's probably like 3 or 4 jumps, depending on your frame shift drive. And you can go here, start working at it here, and then slide your stuff here, and then we could possibly take over that system from Pranav Antal. I probably wouldn't take this system because it's not a high profit. It is a profit though, so we could take this too. You know, take those two, really increase our command capital, decrease our upkeep. Then we could start using that command. We can expand and use the rest of we can use half of the command capital, the available command capital, to expand, the other half to fortify and shoot. we could start to grow our faction. You know what I'm saying? We could start pushing the Federation out into all these other, we could start going into, the blue territory over here. We can start taking over Zamina's stuff. Oh wait, not Zamina. Who is this? It's a different shade of blue. Yeah, but Manny, we can take some of her spots. You could still take some of her spots, like this one. This one right here. We could take that, and if we were to take that, if we were to undermine that, alright, then that system will increase her overall upkeep of all her, it'll increase her overall upkeep if we undermine that, which is cool. Now if her upkeep if her earned income isn't enough to cover the upkeep cost, then that system goes into a state of turmoil. And then if it's still in a state of turmoil the week after that, then it becomes an uncontrolled system. Alright. Or we can just straight go and take it from her by preparing it, and then it'll be up for expansion next week if we get enough, enough votes to prepare preparation votes, and it gets enough preparation work done, which 50 units of propaganda is enough preparation work to have it show up on that list. That's why Visti's not on that list, because I only did 15. I think if I do the 50, then that's 50 work you'll gonna see me do, which I could just do that. I should go and send 50 units just so y'all can see. I might do that after I finish explaining this, so you can see exactly, what your work is doing. But anyway, so this is we could prepare this system, all right, and have it prepared, and the next week it's expanded. It'll be a contested system if we are expanding into it, and then once we finish our expansion, then it'll be our controlled system, Felicia Winter's controlled system, and we'll get that 60 command capital profit each week as long as we fortify it. And if we fortify it, then which it looks like it is fortified, which is why it's given us 60, because oh, the overhead. Yeah, the overhead. Yeah, so this is a fortified. No, it's not fortified. It's got 0%. Oh no, that's the process on it. It probably is fortified. You have to fortify it each week. So, once it's fortified, I think it stays fortified. If I'm not mistaken, until somebody goes to undermine it, and then it becomes unfortified, and then it becomes undermined. It becomes just straight undermine if somebody undermines it. So you can fortify it. I think it stays fortified, but yeah, I think that's how that works. But anyway, it makes sense. So this one looks to be fortified. You can check. You go here. What's the system? Yeah, it was Zenit. Yeah. And past it. Yeah. Oh, it's a control system. Yeah, so it's a control system. And yeah, it's been fortified, I think. Yeah, because its last upkeep. Its upkeep from last cycle was 0, so it's been fortified. Right. So we can go over here and we can undermine it and turn it into 153. And then it'll be undermined, and it'll do harm to her. It'll increase her upkeep. I would rather take over that system and fortify it, because then that's another 60 added to our upkeep. That's a high profit thing. So anyway, yeah, she got a system in turmoil. They need to fortify. They need to fortify, and they need to get that system under control. That's what they need to do. They need to increase their capital, because they dropped in the overall in the Galactic standing. But these guys down here, either players don't really play in these 3 guys or something, because they're at the bottom. They've been at the bottom. He actually went further down. That's because people started bringing him up, I guess. And then she went down. He went up. I think these guys up here are the power players. I think these guys right here have a lot of people playing in them, which makes sense because, and probably here too, these guys, since they're moving and shaking, but probably from here up have players who are active working. I think maybe her too, because at some point, because she was up at the top, but yeah, I think players are really active in these top 6, because she gives you a shield after 4 weeks, so people play at her. He has a lot of trade bonuses, so items you trade and sell, buy and sell, buy for cheaper, sell for more here, so you'll get a lot of credits just from your trade. I don't remember her benefits. Oh, she's got the multi-shot railgun, so probably people are trying to get a hold of that. Let's see. Oh, fines and bounties are doubled. That's why. So bounties are doubled. Payout for bounty claims increased by 20%. That's why. So they had a few bounty community events, and so people probably jumped on her, trying to get those bounty claims increased for the community event, so they can get more for their bounty vouchers. That's definitely why people have pledged to her, and why she's at the top is because of the bounty vouchers. They wanted to increase to their bounty vouchers, so when they turn it in for the community event, they'll get more higher standing in that, which this week probably won't be at the top. Then I don't know, players might still stuck in bounty hunter mode, but this week's community goals are different. They're done in another area, and I don't think it's bounty vouchers you're turning in. Yeah, you're turning in escape pods and salvage stuff like that, personal effects, search and rescue items, and you're also doing combat bonds. So it's just combat bonds. So whichever faction has anything to do with combat bonds or search and rescue is going to be at the top. But I have a feeling that players will probably be poaching those people who are going for combat bonds, so they'll probably be bounty hunters, so they'll probably most likely be pushing, still pushing Miss Duvall here up, so they need Duvall. Let's see if there is a... Oh, I just figured something else out. So when you look at all these stats area and the exploitation impact, that's where you can see what actually happens in the controlled system. So I was playing with a friend a couple of days ago, and I was taking him to a few systems that um, I I started working out of a long time ago, and everything was open in these systems. It was a really good system to work out of. It had a lot of um, mods and the high tech place I was at, but it changed since then. Now when I take him there, this time everything's on lockdown. A lot of things are on lockdown, and it's due to this exploitation impact. I think that when a system is controlled by a faction, it changes the options at these ports. It changes what options you can do, changes what stations are open and closed, and which on lockdown, what's not on lockdown. If the system is in, um, turmoil, probably a lot of things are on lockdown, or a lot of things are different. So keep that in mind as you're traveling from system to system and wondering where to stop and what to go. You might want to, you know, buy something from here, but it's on lockdown, so you can't really do anything. So it's like, why? That's why. Um, I don't know why he's number 10. He's got some bonuses to your trade too, but it's just Imperial stuff. That's probably trade all around anywhere you go. Anyway. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I pay out for bounty claims. Increased by 20%. Security increased by where? Gold prices increased by 55%. So go here and sell your gold. um, I don't know why people didn't do this, because the bounties get increased by 20%. Let's see. Oh, I know why. Okay, so they both have payouts to their bounty. So reason why she's number 1 and he's number 11, he's last and she's first, if both of these did bounties and we had a bounty voucher event last week, is because she's Empire, he's Independent, and the Empire has those Emperor Clippers, those Emperor ships, those Emperor Imperial Clippers, and the Imperial Eagles, and all of that. And so everybody wants those ships, so that's why they joined the Empire, to get those ships. Which They don't have to. You don't have to join the Empire to do it, but I guess they're like, why not? So yeah, anybody who's watching this, you don't have to pledge to a power to get those ships. Alright, you just have to do the work. Alright, you just have to find Imperial missions to unlock those ships. That's why people are going with her, because people are saying that you have to be pledged to her in order to unlock the ships, but you don't have to be pledged to her to unlock the ships. You just have to do Imperial missions that raises your rank. I'm gonna look right now and see what they're called. Okay, so the Empire ranks are, you start out as an outsider. Well, you start out as none in everything, and then your first rank is outsider, then serf, then master, then square, then knight, then or is it squire? I don't know. Then knight, then lord, then baron, then viscount, then count, then earl, then marquis, then duke, then prince, then king. And there are 14 ranks, and it's the Imperial Navy that you want to do missions for. So highly ranked players are allowed to access to special Empire missions, and ships are granted permits to access restricted systems. For players to be promoted through the Empire's ranks, they must complete missions or other favorable activities with Empire minor factions, and then complete a promotion mission for the Imperial Navy. These are generally named as Naval Ascension Opportunity or something similar. Okay. They might look like Imperial Navy Acquisition Contract or Courier Job for Imperial Naval Intelligence. Something like that. So if you just do those missions, Imperial Navy missions, then you'll raise your rank in the Imperial Navy and you'll get those ships. Okay. You don't have to be pledged to her, but people are pledged to her because they think they get that bonus for bounties. But really, if you just go to her systems and turn in those bounties, then you get an increase. So this is only in her exploited systems or her controlled systems. Alright, so you'd have to go to her systems in order for that to be in effect. So that the last community event, the bounties, you were turning it into a Felicia Winters system. So you didn't get that to your bounties that you were turning in, because that's not a Levani, that's not a Levani Duval system. It's a Felicia Winters system. So in her systems, yeah, you really get no work there, but that faction that was controlling that system, okay, probably got an influence increase. Probably got a big influence increase because the influence effects are boosted. Unless you were aligned with Imperial, or unless that was an Imperial faction, but that was an Imperial faction. I think that was. Well, that might not have been a Federal faction. So that's probably why their influence didn't get much of a boost. So yeah, the hollowed people from the last week, they did get an influence. Their influence increased in the system. I think I remember seeing that, but it wasn't boosted. It wasn't a lot of an increase because it was bounty vouchers that people were doing, not missions that did big increases, but it was bounty vouchers that they were turning in. So what happened? So this happened. Her being at the top happened because I think a lot of players don't really understand fully. They see the stuff, but I don't think they fully get what's happening. So if you joined her, if you allied yourself with her because of the payout for bounty claims was increased in her controlled systems, then you did not receive that increase, that 20% increase to your bounty payout. Okay. You may not have noticed it, but you didn't get the 20% increase because the place where you had to turn your bounties in for that community event was in a federal control, a Federation controlled system. Felicia Winters controls it. I'll show you. Actually, I think it was, it might have been a contested system. It was Patterson Vision, because that's, if you don't believe me, all right, you don't think you think I'm lying. Here we go. All right, you don't think I'm wrong. Here you go. The Hollow chapter. This was last week's thing. I haven't claimed my prize yet because I gotta go to the thing. It just ended last night, so I gotta go over to this thing and pick up my reward at Patterson Vision. Okay. So this was the location where you had to turn in, you had to contribute. I did some work with it. I did some work for the commodities part, not the bounties part. But again, you'd have to get those bounties in this system. So a lot of players were gaining bounties inside the system, or in a system that was controlled, that had a hollowed chapter in the system. All right, so as long as the hollowed chapter of LHS was in your system, in that system, then those bounties would count. If that player had a bounty for that system, for this, a bounty specific, it could either be a bounty. Okay, you can either find bounties that were issued to players or non-player characters that were in this system, from the LHS 2094, or you had to find bounties that were issued by the hallowed chapter for that player or for that non-player character, and that could happen in other systems. All right, where the hallowed chapter is present. So there you go, and then you would take those bounties to here. All right, that's cool. But everybody, it looked like everybody tried to. It looked like a lot of people tried to get that 20% bonus increase. All right, that you would get with her, and because they're gaining ships anyway, but I mean, they wanted to get those Imperial Clippers and all that, because those are some strong ships and they're pretty good, So they were trying to do that and get with the Empire. Okay, some are hardcore Empire fans. I've seen them. People are probably doing this to get the shield, and then which upped her, and then people were getting with her because of the bounty increase payout. They weren't getting with him because he doesn't get access to the ships, which is a lie. All right, if you're allied with him, you still have access to Imperial ships. All right, because all you have to do is do the missions, and then you raise your rank and you get access to this. Because right now I'm with the Federation. I just am working in the Federation. I could go to this place and I'll be in hostile territory, or I can work with um, Empire factions in other systems. You know what I'm saying? I could go to a system that's not controlled by her, but um, has not controlled by an empire. I can go to a system that's not controlled by an empire, but has imperial um, controlled faction or allied factions, empire control empire allied factions in it, minor factions in it, and then do work with them, and then that'll raise um, my rank, and then all I have to do is find a um, Imperial Navy mission and do that mission, and then I get my rank up to the next rank. I become an outsider, or then I become another. But I can be allied with him, which is all cool. All right, and I still would have got the bounty voucher, or I still would have got an increase to the bounty voucher if, again, that system that was the community event was in was controlled by one of those two. But since it was not controlled by either one of those two, you didn't get that 20% bonus to your credit. So all that stuff was just off of basic bounty in turn-ins. Basic bounty. You would have got more if that community event was held in one of these, her or him. You would have gotten an increase to your bounties no matter what faction you're allied to, because that's their exploitation bonus. That's their exploitation effect. So if they're not exploiting that system, that effect is not in place. All right, so I'm gonna show you that that system was not a Levaney controlled system. So since I have to go there, I had it bookmarked, and I want to show you. This is the impact, and this is the impact of the power play on your gameplay. Bam. LHS 2094 is a contested system, contested by Edmund Mahan and Felicia Winters. So those two factions are in competition for this system. It's none of the Levaney or the other independent gentleman. They don't have control over this system. Clearly, look at that. All right. So let's see what actually happened in that system. Since Felicia Winters is one of the contested, and I think that Mahan is actually like the controlling one, so his exploitation is probably in effect in some of those ports, and then her exploitation impact is probably in some other ports in that system. But Imperial slaves are banned, so you won't be able to sell Imperial slaves there, probably. Depends. It depends on if that faction, the controlling faction of the system, is federal or the alliance. You'll probably see some alliance missions, alliance allied factions, minor factions in that system, and you'll see Federation allied factions, minor factions in that system. But the ones, the ports that are controlled by federal or Federation allied minor factions, this exploitation impact is in effect. Alright, so Imperial slaves banned, consumption and production of basic foods and medicines. So those people who brought foods to this thing, pumpkins and stuff, they would have gotten more of it. They got a boost to their increase. Those are the ones who got a boost to their increase, not the other ones, because, well, it didn't get a boost to their increase. They just got paid more credits for their work than normal. So they gained more credits for their work. That didn't go into, but those credits earned didn't go into the progression of that community event. It was the tons collected. So it was the units collected. So, but you would have gotten, you would have gotten more credits doing that. You would have gotten paid more doing the bring in fruits and vegetables to the community event than, well, than to, I don't think the Hollow, I think the Hollow chapter was the controlling faction in that area, and I don't think the Hollow chapter was allied with any faction, any major superpowers, so that probably wouldn't be what's in effect. So for that, so you may not have gotten that, but if they are allied with the Federation, then that's what you got. You got paid more for basic foods, which is the fruits and vegetables, and yeah, fruits and vegetables, basic foods. I think you would have gotten the consumption of it is increased, so they need more, so the demand would be higher, and so you would get paid more for what you bring in. Her domain, all federal aligned faction activity influence effects are boosted while imperial aligned factions are reduced. So if there's an imperial aligned faction in her control system, the influence effects are lower. Alright, and then the federal influence effects are boosted. So let's see if the Hollow is the controlling faction of that system. I believe they are, but yeah. And then we'll lay all that to rest. So Allegiance is independent. So that's probably, yeah, as an indication that it's not, it's not a Federation control. If it was a Federation controlled, or if the controlling faction in that system was a Federation controlled faction, then it would be Federation. So since it's independent, it's a 2 times increase consumption. Okay, so yeah, they got it. Okay, so that system is an independent system. So, so yeah, it's got the increase to consumption of basic foods and stuff. All right, so if that's not enough, we'll even go into say who's the controlling faction. Why is this an independent system in federal controlled space or alliance controlled space? Is this it? No. into the system. Alright, so there, here's, you see all of it. Alright, so you see the contested, you see the system name is contested by Edmund Mahan and Felicia Winters. And that's because this is an exploited system. This is not a controlled system. So if this wanted to be, if you wanted this to be an Edmund Mahan system, then you Edmund Mahan people would have to take over the controlling faction that Felicia Winters has. That this exploited system falls under, and then it would be straight up Edmund Mahan. But since this is in this is exploited by Edmund Mahan and Felicia Winters, then it's underneath both of those. So both things are in place, and you can see the effects of that by looking at Edmund Mahan's stats and his exploitation impact on an independent system, and then you can see the effects it has on that Felicia Winters exploitation impact is. This is contested. Alright, so anyway, then you do a summary. The controlling faction is the hollow chapter of the LHS, which is fine. Okay, that controlling faction is a theocracy. It's in a state of boom, probably because of all of the bounty vouchers turned in and all of the fruits and vegetables turned in and beer and stuff like that. It's beer, fruits and vegetables, and clothing. All of that was turned in increased their influence, and probably increased their state of boom. Probably some people did some missions for them since they were there, you know, not knowing, but and it made them go into a boom state. They're independent. Their allegiance is independent. So they have their own agenda. You can see their population that is with that is in the system. Oh no, that's the systems. Sorry. The controlling faction is the hollow chapter. The government of the system is a theocracy, and the state of the whole system is a state of boom, and that's probably part of the it's probably because of the controlling faction is in a state of boom. So this whole system is going to be reported as a state of boom. Now the allegiance of the hollow chapter is independent, so that's another reason why this whole system is an independent thing. And then the system's population is shown there, and then the security of the system is high. One, because of Felicia Winters. Two, Edmund Mahan might have some security things, but it's high because Felicia Winters exploited systems are high security. They get a 20% increase to their security or whatever. So now it's high. Get your star catalog information that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Factions. Here we go. So the hollow chapter of LHS 94 is a theocracy. It's also the controlling faction, so that's why the system is a theocracy. Its allegiance is independent. We don't know who. I think you can, let's see, we can go here. Let's you might could go to the system and look over on your right panel and see. It might show who, like, which independent, but I don't think it does. I don't think any of these show which independent. So yeah, it might be that it might just show nothing there. It might not show anybody's symbol there. And so then it's just independent on its own. If it shows somebody's particular symbol next to their mission, then that means that that mission is for that particular galactic power or superpower. But anyway, I think their missions didn't have anything next to it, so they're just shown as independent. They're allied to the independent, so that's cool. Their influence in the system is 50.7%. That's due to all those bounty vouchers and food that was turned in. It increased their influence. Probably people did missions that in that system increased their influence. There you go. And then they're in the state of boom. My relationship with them is neutral. Some other people might be cordial, probably. If you were turning in a lot of bounty vouchers there and a lot of food there, your relationship might be cordial or friendly. Maybe not allied. Unless you did missions too, then you might be allied there. But that's your own personal relationship, not anybody else's. Okay, and so that's why nobody who turned in bounty vouchers here or did the well turned in bounty but got that 20% increase that they thought they would get for turning in bounty vouchers. Just because you're allied with that system doesn't mean that you are under that exploitation effect. It's the system that's being exploited that has that effect. So if this was in let's say if this community goal was, back at that other system we was looking at earlier on in the broadcast, if it was over here in one of these systems, let's say this system, if it was over here in this system, one second, this system, then all those bounties turned in would have had that 20% increase. It wouldn't have been your normal, if you won't turn in a bounty for like 23,000 credits, it would have been, a 10% increase or 20% increase to that over here. And there you go. And then that would have boosted your efforts. We would have went through that community goal faster too, probably, because a lot of people were killing. I mean, we reached that goal before the week was up. So before its timer, we reached the goal and it terminated. So a lot of people were gaining those bounties because a lot of people can do that. That's what a lot of players do. They like the combat, so they got their ship right and they just go out and they go to the res sites and just gain bounties left and right. And in this particular system over here, it's probably kind of easy to gain those bounties. They probably have a bunch of res sites that are high or medium, and you're destroying. That's fun gameplay. I mean, shooting things is fun, so that's what a lot of people did, and they probably wolf packed it up, wingmaned it up, and was having fun with their friends and all that good stuff, and turned in all their bounties in and got that community goal underway. That was a pretty fun community goal. And in the process, people communicate. Maybe wrong information, maybe right information, who knows. Probably people were saying, yeah, you gotta ally yourself with her and then you'll get the 20% increase to your bounties and you'll get more credits from it. No, that doesn't work like that. So since that's not a system, you didn't get the bonus, but if you did turn in food to that system, then you got a boost to your food to the money, the credits you made off of turning in food and clothing and stuff. Which the food and vegetables and clothing and beer is kind of low anyway, low credits anyway. It doesn't cost that much. It's like a couple hundred, maybe it's less than 1,000 for all of those. So you would have probably hit 1,000 per ton that you turned in, per unit that you turned in. So instead of and if especially since that station is agricultural, or what kind of station is that? That station is I don't think I put it in the book, but Patterson Vision is. Ooh, I didn't put what commodities market is there. Industrial refinery. It might have been industrial, it might have been refinery. It couldn't be agricultural because that's where you buy your stuff from. You go to an agricultural commodities market, buy your stuff there, and then you would take it someplace else. But fruit and vegetables, clothing, and beer, I think is what it was. Those three items, they go everywhere. Everybody consumes that, so you could take it to this industrial. If this was a tourist spot, you might have gotten even more because tourism has a demand on food and stuff like that. But if it's not tourism, it's all good. Industrial refinery, they eat food and vegetables, they need clothing, and they also drink beer there. So there you go. Plus, it's for the community event, so the more food and vegetables you bring there, the more credits you get on the community event anyway. So that's probably why the standings are like they are right now. Okay. People are going with him because of people are allied with him and doing work for him because the price of high-tech's good is down, and selling it is you get more for selling high-tech. Also, the outfitting prices are reduced. So in his systems, so people are like, trying to ally themselves with him, and then people ally with him thinking that they're gonna get their outfitting prices reduced for their ships, and then be able to gain these ships a better, so they ally with him thinking they're gonna get those bonuses. But that's not the case. That's not how this game works. You don't ally with these people and then gain their exploitation impacts. No, this is what you get for allying with someone. Their ratings. That's what you get for allying with somebody. Those are your rewards, is the ally. The exportation bonus is gonna be for that stage, for that controlled system, no matter what you're allied to, what you pledge to. When you pledge to somebody, you're doing that to further that faction's reach. You're doing that to increase the controlled systems that faction has, or decrease the controlled systems that faction has, and spread them out. You're making it so that next time, if they have another community event, that hopefully it'll be in one of her controlled systems, so you can get that exploited system bonus from the bounty vouchers. If she's everywhere, guess what? The community event's gonna be in one of her systems if that's all that's here. That's that's kind of the idea here. So I know I went way off topic with how you undermine, but that's all the results. Like that's all part of the power play. That's all the effect that these superpowers have on your systems, on your gameplay, on what you're doing. What you take superconductors, or you take nano breakers or something. That's a reward you get for some of these missions that you do. All right, you take a bunch of those, right? Fill your thing up. Take a bunch of those. Take it to a Li Young Ryu, or Rui controlled system. Take it to him. Take it to one of his controlled systems. Let's say I'm allied with Felicia Winters, okay, and I take it to one of his controlled systems. All right, and I take it to an independent controlled system, and that's got a controlling faction that's allied with him, that has that little symbol, if you see next to his name, that little system with the swirly with the circle around it, has that system, that symbol next to their name. All right, and I go there because there's other independents, okay, so you got to make sure that it's the right symbol. All right, but you go there, and then that faction's got associated with Leon Rui's Leon Rui's faction, or independent faction. And you go there and you sell those same nano breakers or whatever they are. Here it's gonna be, you're gonna sell them for a lot more. You're gonna get way more. You're gonna get more credits from those systems than you would selling them in Felicia Winters' high-tech commodity market, right? Let's see with him. Oh, see, there you go. 4 times greater production and consumption of agricultural goods and equipment. So if you sold fruits and vegetables to this guy, to that, you did that, you would have got an increase for it. Well, if that system was controlled by an allegiance faction, since it's independent, then you get, okay, so yeah, you would have gotten the 10% price increase in if that was a agricultural commodities market, you would have had to buy those agriculturals for a higher price. All right, 4 times greater production and consumption, but you could have sold it for a little bit more. And then any agricultural equipment, you could have bought it for cheaper in that section, in that system. So since it's a contested system, that's what would happen there. And you can do the research. You can go to these systems and see for yourself. You'll see that that's what the case is. But anyway, so yeah, if I took my high-tech goods to him, to a system controlled by him and exploited by him, then they would be, I could sell them for a lot more than I would here. But it would happen to me, but I'm allied with Felicia Winters, because it's not about who you're allied with. It's about what system is exploited as the exploitation bonus. The only thing you get for being allied with this person, the only bonuses you get for being allied with Felicia Winters is listed under your rating. That's it. If you got rating 1, you'll get a weekly bonus of 1,000 credits, no consolidation vote, and 10 power commodity allocation every half hour. That's it. That's the only bonuses you get. No ships, okay? No, nothing. And then you look at the rest of the ratings, ships is not listed under any of this. So to get federal ships, you don't have to be allied with Felicia Winters. You don't have to be allied with anybody. But I think players have gotten it in their head that you need to be allied with one of these factions to get that stuff. But no, you don't have to be allied with any faction to get the federal ships. You don't have to do the intergalactic power play at all to do the community events. If you want an Imperial ship, just do Imperial Navy missions. Go to her controlled systems, or her controlled systems, or her controlled systems, or his controlled systems, and do missions there. You'll find more systems with Empire allied factions in their controlled systems. It makes sense. And then you'll do a bunch of those missions, raise your rank there, do Imperial Navy missions, and then you'll get access to those ships. You get do the credits, and then boom, you got your Imperial Clipper or your Imperial Courier. But you can ally with Felicia Winters and progress her Federation all at the same time. You know what I mean? And still get the items that you would get from her. Still get the disruptor, plasma, the whatever. After 4 weeks would be in her. And still get Federation ships too. You know what I mean? So it's very loose. It's very loose in that regards, and this is just the reason why this is happening, and the reason why she's at the top and he's at the bottom, when they both have the same listed stats and all this, and exploitation impact is just a sheer. It's just players communicating, and that's what came out. I think a lot of players may not understand the power play fully. You know, and that's why you're getting this, which is interesting. I think if players did understand, I think these top 6 probably wouldn't fluctuate so much. Maybe it'll fluctuate because people want to unlock everything, so they'll ally with him and then unlock what he has to offer, and then ally with her and unlock the shields, and then for the 4 weeks. And then, you know, that'll cause it to change, cause the standings to switch up. But yeah, but yeah, all that, all the work you do for preparation, expansion control, and then all the work you do to undermine and oppose expansions for these other factions, all of it ties together. All of it is important. All of it has a meaning. All of it will affect your gameplay. Will affect what you can and can't do. You know, you might go somewhere and because of this guy, the system is on lockdown. Or even at the local level, like maybe the minor faction, it's on lockdown. Okay, yeah, that's probably more accurate. The minor factions at that level will lock down systems and starports and stuff. If they're at war, or if they're in a state of lockdown, or if they're, you know, if that's their state. If they're in a boom state, it's probably all open. But, you know, as far as slaves are concerned, and as far as, you know, what ships you may find, all of that is superpower controlled. You know, look at these, look at all of them. Look at all of their exploitation stats and see their exploitation impacts and see exactly what happens. And then that's all that happens. That's all the impact that they have on the system. Then you look at the individual factions and see what what the states do, what their state does for them. So you can go here, their state right there, retreat, war, lockdown. You can see which systems are in a state of lockdown. Alright, so here's one. This one is in a state of lockdown. So if you go here, guess what? A lot of the stuff is going to be on lockdown. You won't be able to land at some of the systems, at some of the stations. You won't be able to land there. It's out of a state of lockdown. I was with a friend over here. I'm trying to find it. Is this it? No. What is it? No, that's not it. It was Wolf something or other. Burners League Terminal. Okay, so it's not on lockdown anymore, I guess. But that had some stuff that was on it. Oh, so flow stop. Maybe we went into some flow stop and this was in lockdown. Yeah. We might have stopped here while we were playing and this controlling faction is on lockdown. So a lot of this ports in here we couldn't land at, or when you do land they don't have any, like you can't access the commodities market. That's not there. That's another one. Commodities is disabled. Hold on. Hello? Yeah. Okay. Alright. No problem. Bye-bye. Okay. So yeah, so you know that's the impact it has. You know, you can't trade at this one or this one because it's been disabled. Because the controlling faction is in a lockdown state. So if you wanted to raise the lockdown and make this system open again, and you want to end the state of lockdown, you'll have to do missions for this faction, and it'll probably say lockdown related missions or whatever, but the effect will be they'll have decreased signs of lockdown in the system, and then probably either after a day, I don't know what the cycle is, but eventually this system will be out of lockdown and you'll be able to access the commodities here and here. This one's not controlled by the same faction, so its commodities market is open. So look, yeah, this faction, Fosox Silver Fortune Network, that's on the state of lockdown, but this one's controlled by a different faction. This port is controlled by different factions, so it's not on the state of lockdown. And you can sell stuff here, buy and sell stuff here. So, you know, keep that in mind. You know, if you see this go at, you know, and you want to take it out of the state of lockdown. Let's see, this could be important because, um, you know, if you can't increase any of these, you know, you can't do any trade there, then that would, you know, you know, don't go here to trade. You know what I mean? Like if you won't be able to, maybe if you're close to industrial stuff, or maybe you want to source out some industrial stuff, and this is the only industrial port that's close to you, you know, and you don't have time to just go everywhere else. Well, you can't go here, so you're gonna have to source another place. If this is what you know, if that's what you know, man. But anyway, so yeah, keep that in mind about these factions, guys. This is serious. This is crazy. And of course, when you get to the system, you know, ships that that you might pass by might have communique and the chat box up, you know, relating to the state. You know, maybe if it's in a state of war, they'll be like, join this and pick a side or whatever, you know. And then when you land at the system, when you land at the port within that system, they'll be like, you know, we're in a state of war, so be careful which side you pick, you know, and all this stuff. So it all ties into your gameplay. It all ties into your experience, you know. So maybe if it's a warring system, or a system that's in a state of war, you'll find more conflict zones, you know. Or if it's civil war, you'll find more conflict zones. I know if it's in a state of outbreak, you'll get a bunch of outbreak missions, and then all these missions will be geared towards finding medicine and things like that, and then you'll be able to up their influence and your reputation with them, and you know, by doing little, you know, getting medicine and medical supplies. So you could just load up on medical supplies or whatnot, and then just find all the, you know, do all the faction missions and stuff, and stop an outbreak in the system. You know, that's cool. I was doing that. I did some humanitarian work, you know. But I know this doesn't have anything to do with undermining systems, but this is part of the political power play. This is part of the power play that goes on. Even at the local faction, the minor faction level. And then, you know, you have your your major faction level, your superpower level. Is how you can quickly tell which system is in their allegiance to. I don't usually do this. I usually do government because it's just more colorful, and it shows off the planets that don't have a government. So this one doesn't have a government, and the ones that don't have a government are systems that don't have places for you to land. They're not there. They may have some landfall planets, but they don't have any settlements, and so you can't do business there. You won't find any markets there. You won't find anything there, except for a star and some planets. Yeah, you do have some landfall planets, but so you can land on them, but there's no settlements. That'll help you decide, okay, which system do I go to do this or do that. Well, if it's white, if you have your filter on government, or if you have your filter on allegiance, then you can see, like, this is really easy. If there's no allegiance, then it's a system that oops, I exit out. Then it's a system that doesn't have settlements and the government. Also, those systems, again with the power play, these systems don't increase the command capital of your faction. So let's say you pick a you wanna be smart about this and expand into a territory that has expand into systems, into control systems that have a lot of, that give you a profit to your command capital. Well, make sure that control system has a bunch of exploited systems that have a population in it. If that exploited system has a bunch of these systems that have no population, then of course the command capital is gonna be down, but you're gonna have a higher upkeep cost because you're gonna have a normal upkeep to upkeep the systems that do have a population, but they won't be producing, the exploited systems won't be producing enough to keep the upkeep of that control system. So keep that in mind. All right. Also too, oh well, I wasn't going anywhere with that. But yeah, keep that in mind when you're planning your next preparation mission with your friends, or planning your next expansion with your friends, or planning on undermining another faction with your friends. Undermine systems. If you want to undermine a system or undermine another faction, pick a control system to undermine that has a bunch of population in it, that has a bunch of systems that are exploited by the control system that actually have population. Don't pick a control system that doesn't have a lot of population, or else you won't make that big of an impact to that faction. You know what I mean? That'll be like a little slap if it has a low population. But if it has a big population and you just undermined it, and now that faction is in turmoil, or that system is in turmoil, that system's upkeep is going to be high for that faction, and it's going to they're not going to have the command capital to keep it, because that's one of their strong systems, a lot of population in it. So keep that in mind too when you're undermining. Pick systems. If you want to deal a bigger blow, undermine in a system that has a higher population, in a control system that has a higher population, and a higher more systems that have population in it, in their exploited systems. So I guess, yeah, more exploited systems. Pick a control system that has a bunch of that has the more exploited systems, and then you'll do more damage doing that than you would picking a different system that doesn't have as many exploited systems. Alright. I think that I was gonna do something. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna show you guys bringing 50. Well, I gotta pick this thing up first. So what I'll do is I was gonna show you guys just how much of an impact a player can have by doing prep work, like just how much your personal impact can be on preparing a system for expansion. I gotta find the control system closest to Visti, because that's what I want to do. if you do have a bunch of bookmarks, it's good to bookmark, because what I could do is, this is where I would go to take my stuff, right? Misty. Alright, so, Misty. Alright. And then I had a system close by. This is not the way to do it. This is not, sorry guys, this is not the way to do it. Alright, so I memorized what you could do. You could put Visty, bookmark Visty, but I actually have I wanted to go more precise when I plot a course to Visty, so I work out of the Ferris settlement. I just memorized it. That's what I chose. I don't know. I think that might be the only spaceport that's out in space. I think the other places are on the planet, and I just chose this one. And it's Extraction, and so I just chose this, and I just remember that as being in Visty. So if I was going to work out of another system to prepare another system, then I would, you know, do that, or I would remember that and put the port I was working out up there. But once you've found the system you want to prepare, which I found here, I'll go over to the power play. All right, filter out through the power play, and then you'll put it on yours, so you're looking at the system, your controlled systems, and then you'll find the nearest control system that is underneath your jurisdiction, your faction. So oh no, wait. No, I'm in the wrong spot. Oh, okay. You can get bookmark. You can go to the bookmark. Okay, there we go. Alright. Why is this not? Oh. Put expansion. Alright. So yeah, make sure it's on expansion. That shows the systems available for preparation and expansion. Alright, so do that. And then yeah, so Visty, the nearest control system that is currently controlled by Felicia Winters. You're gonna have to look inside of her white bubble here. This one's close, but I bookmarked. See, this one I bookmarked several systems here, but this one's not controlled by the system. It's not under. It's not under. It's a control system, but it's not controlled by Felicia Winters. It's not within that white bubble. So I think it's this one. Yeah, so I was out of here, so I'll go in the system. I got it bookmarked, and the bookmark changes if it's the system or if it's inside the system. So I got this one. Ah, yeah, Smith Landing. Yeah, that's a so how if you want to go about preparing a system for expansion, or you want to fortify a system, or you want to undermine a system, well, yeah, this is what you can do. Find the system you want to work out of, you want to do work in. So I want to prepare Visti. Alright, so that's one of my spots. So I've bookmarked it. Make sure, bookmark it. That'll help you find it a lot better. A lot more easier. And then pick a control system close by to that system that your faction is in control of. Either way it goes. So like even if it's a system that is you're undermining, I want to undermine this thing over here, this green one over here, then I would pick a control system, the closest control system to this. So when I do my combat bonds and gain that stuff, I can just simply go over here and turn it in, come back, and it's not a long journey. It won't be. I can do more, as opposed to working out of headquarters. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what happened over here. It's like real close to the headquarters, so they just go from the headquarters over here. But you could literally, if I want to go to another system and work out of it, it can go to any controlled system, within your faction, and gain the power commodities to prepare or expand or fortify or whatever. You want to fortify a system, go to a system that needs a control system that needs fortification, and then pick a control system next to it, and fortify it, or do whatever you need to do. So let's see. And the closest one is over here, and we did Smith Landing. All right, so I'll go here and get I'll go here and get I thought that the system I was in was, but it might be, yeah, okay. So I'll go here and get political propaganda to take the Visti here, and I'll get 50. I'll get enough to take at least 50, because it takes to I'm gonna see where it says that at, if it even says that in here. I'm sure it says it. I don't know. I'm skimming over it, but I don't know where I read it, but I think it says it when you first look at this page. There's nothing there. Then it says 50. It says it needs to be 50 in order to make it available for. Let's see the overview. Maybe it's an overview. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you can look over some things and see. I don't know where I saw it at. I saw it somewhere, but I don't remember where I saw it at. But anyway, Visti. Let me see if Visti states its preparation. Doesn't say. Well, I know it'll say once it gets on that list how much it has been put into the expansion of Visti. Man, it just hasn't been enough to make this list, so I'm gonna take 50 and see if I can get Visti on the list. First I'll go to the control system next to it. Let me make sure I got enough. I got 72. Alright. Yep, I'm good to go. Just so you guys can see, your impact that you have on the galactic powers.
Ship released. Access corridor is clear.
I want to thank everybody who's watching. Sorry if my explanations are like stupid long, but there's a lot to it, and then I repeat. But it is what it is. I probably could have set this up, already had the stuff ready to put it into Visti, but I wanted to show you guys exactly, what it takes to actually prepare a system. I don't think I showed that last time. Oh, and some side notes. I think if you leave your PlayStation on for a long time, or put it in rest mode and come back and play the game, basically if you just don't close out the game and then come back in, some sound elements won't play. So like coming out of a boost at the end there's a sound white that doesn't play, so it's like it cuts off the boost audio, or coming out of a frame shift jump might cut off the boost audio. All you do to fix that is just exit the game and close out the application and come back in. If exiting the game, if like saving and exiting and then jumping back in doesn't fix it, then close out the app and then come back in. Also too, some of the distances that was shown that might mess up too. I saw some distances messing up. So like in the bottom, in the lower left, it'll say it says the system the system that's next to your course that you plotted, and then there's like a 9.96 light years there. That was sometimes that's shown as like 9 billion trillion or whatever, and then it's like it's an absurd number. And then also too, when you look at the crosshair or whatever, the indicator on your screen there, the light years, the 9.696 light years was like 9 billion trillion or whatever, and then it was like 1 day to make that distance. So like all of that was just messed up. So all that script was just messed up. And then also on the panel there, the target panel. And if it does that, if the game does that, it just did that since its last maintenance. But if it does that, just exit the game, come back in, you'll be alright. Okay, where's the sun in this system? It's already starting to mess up a little bit. Anyway. Coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. I'm not slowing down. No. We're gonna run dead into the station. Oh shoot. Oh man. Oh boy, that was a near miss. Oh man, I almost ran into the station. I almost ran into the planet. Jeez. I did some research on what are the contributing factors to your speed and acceleration in Super Cruise, and found some interesting information. Apparently how Super Cruise, how the frame shift drive works is you compress the space in front of your ship and you release it behind your ship. So you move the compressed space from in front of your ship that you've compressed to behind your ship, and then it expands behind you, and then you're boom, you're in this new location. And so since we're in space, you know, normal factors that go into speed and acceleration on Earth don't play the same role in space. So there's no friction, for instance. So the
larger vessels, Commander.
the friction created by, you know, air is not present. So, you know, and especially during the actual jump process or the frame shift, yeah, I would say the jump process, that process isn't affected by friction. I mean, it is affected by weight. So, well, mass more specifically. So, the more massive your ship is, I guess the less space you can move around it. I don't know. So, or the more, yeah. So, you end up getting you end up getting a shorter jump range. I have auto docks.
Request approved. Prep for
Shorter
arrival
jump
on
range.
landing pad 4-5.
So
You are
that's
cleared
why
for
some of
coordinated
your
approach,
bigger ships
Commander.
may not jump as far as some of your little ships, but when you increase their frame shift drive, then you can jump farther, you know, like the base, and then you increase your frame shift drive, and then you can jump farther per jump. You can go farther per jump. You can move more condensed space around your ship per jump because of you got a better frame shift drive. It's a better mass efficiency. Blah blah blah.
2,000 meters from touchdown.
All right, so what factors go into acceleration then, and what factors affect your ship's acceleration in supercruise? Like from going from point A to point B. You know, because I know some of these locations are far away from the star you jump to, and I would rather get to top speed faster and get there quicker. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, this jumping process isn't affected by friction or isn't affected by anything but mass. And what affects mass in space is gravity. That has the most effect. I mean, when you're moving space around your ship, gravity will have an effect on that. So if your ship is massive enough to be pulled into the gravitational well of a planet, it's going to change the direction of your ship, one, and it's going to slow your ship down. So your ship will be slowly pulled to that planet, and you'll have to compensate for it. And the reason why your ship, see, I can do 15 instead of 10 now because I can raise my rank, whatever. But we're gonna get 50 units of political propaganda. And in order to do that, you have to fast track. So I can't. I right now, I can either fast track this and get 15 more units to deliver, or I can wait for 30 minutes and come back, and there'll be 15 more units for me to allocate. But since I'm trying to do this all in one shot here, I'm just gonna go ahead and pay the 150 credits, and then I'll be able to put 15 more in there, so that's 30. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill my cargo ship. I got 2 million credits, it's all good. One more. That is 60. So that's at least 60. I'm gonna go ahead and do one more. I'm gonna fill her up. Why not? Go ahead and fill her up. I don't have any. Oh, so this is to control. Oh yeah, take control for Felicia first. Okay, yeah, there's your. So I'm gonna take some of this to fill it up.
Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
I guess I can't just move it here. Which is cool. I'd have to get it from someplace else, from a different controlling faction, and then oh no, yeah, you'd have to get it from a different controlling faction and then put it here. Our control system, I think. I just have enough to go to Misty. I could have put commodities in there, but that's all good. For this purpose, we'll just do this. So yeah, so again, the factors that go into the Super Cruise isn't like
Ship released. You are clear to
isn't thrust. So the idea of having a big old engine or a big old thruster on your ship that pushes you faster and accelerates isn't at work here. That isn't the concept here. The frame shift drive doesn't propel you forward using thrust. It propels you forward using space displacement, I guess, or like moving space around. So you condense the space in front of you and then move it to the back of your ship, and it expands behind you, and that's what puts you in a different location. Even in Super Cruise, that's what's happening. You're in a bubble. It kind of creates a bubble around your ship of space that's moving around. So, okay. Oh, I was I'm sitting here like, why am I aimed at this? But no, I didn't even set the. I didn't plot my course yet. So, things like, so you really don't technically accelerate. Well, your acceleration is can be instant in that case. Like, you pretty much it's more like you move more and more space so around you. There we go. You move more space around your ship. So if you wanna,
speed restrictions are now lifted. Flight control signing off.
I guess, increase your acceleration, in Super Cruise, I guess one way is to get your frame shift drive to be more efficient with the mass displacement. However, that has a greater effect, or with the mass efficiency, that has a greater effect on its jump range. So you'll be able to jump further if your frame shift drive is more efficient with the mass of your ship. Okay. So what would make you go faster in Super Cruise? Well, reducing the effects of gravity around you. So don't fly close to planets. If you fly close to planets, the planet's gravity will pull you closer and slow you down. So you want to go faster away from the sun. Like right now, the sun is slowing me down. I should be at top. If the sun wasn't there, I'd be at top speed by now, just off gate. But because I'm close to the sun, its gravity is slowing me down as I'm going away from it. But as I get away from the sun's gravity, I begin to accelerate and more. Now the whole gravity generated by the system is at work here too. So if I really want to get to top speed, I'm going to have to get away from all the objects in this system. That star over there, that planet over there, any planets in this system, this whole system's gravitational pull. And then I'll start to reach, 2001 CC. And so that's what affects your speed or your acceleration or whatever. The top speed anybody can go in this game from what I researched was 2001 C, which is I forget what it's called. It's a light speed term. I forget what it is, but it's 2001 C. Which is faster than the speed of light. But in order to get to that top speed, you have to be away from all the gravitational forces. And then, that's another thing too. If you notice, as you go into a planet, it's like it feels like you're speeding up, but it's really your frame shift drive is just revving up. It's revving up because the pull is pulling your ship, but the frame shift drive wants to still push it, similar to like those guys driving their truck through the mud. They go in and then they go in fast, and then they get stuck in the mud, and you hear their engine revving up, and the truck shaking, and it's like their truck is accelerating, but it's not going anywhere because the engine's just revving, and there's no propulsion forward. That's kind of what's happening when you get into. See, it's slowing me down, but my ship is revving up because I'm caught in the gravitational pull, one of the planets or whatever. Unless you're headed towards the planet, then you could be speeding up as you're going towards the planet. Let's test it. Slow down. So yeah, I'm speeding up as I'm going toward the planet. I haven't really gotten close enough to get the pull, I think. Yeah, see, I'm speeding up. I'm slowing myself down now. But yeah, that's another thing. That's why you gotta compensate for that gravitational pull with your ship. What's on your ship? Yeah, see, I'm flying to it, so it's pulling me in. I'm still slowing down because of the planet and stuff, but the mass of the planet, it's just revving up. Though you can kind of picture that planet's gravity is like mud, and then you're just spinning the wheels. or maybe not spinning wheels, but it's not allowing your wheels to turn, but your engine is revving like crazy. But that's how you can accelerate too, is just staying clear and simply you'll accelerate faster than you would if you're going past points. But yeah, just be smart, play with that a little bit, and that'll help you to control your, you know, maybe your entry speed to some of these places. If anybody had any questions about that. I'm waiting until I get mass locked. And I got denied. Bay 3 is the medium one, so I should. Somebody got there. I think ship might have just left it. Might have just left Bay 3. My battery died. Okay. That kind of sucks. Okay. Well, let me see that. I don't think there's a ship there, so let me see if I can. There we go. Yeah, in settlements like these, if you got a medium ship or larger, I think Bay 3 can only do medium, so I think you might be SOL if you got a larger ship. Unless 2 is... Look, yeah, that might be... The one on the left is bigger bay, I think, so... That might be... Anyway, 1 is a small one, 2 is maybe a large one, 3 is your medium bay, so you can kind of see. And then one of the bays has like a window that you can see into. But that's how you. That's one of those. That's one of those. Starports where you can see, you know, the bays. Like, you can pay attention to that. That's how you can figure out where you're gonna land and whatnot, where it actually is. That might help you if you don't have a docking computer. All right, so I'm gonna give I'm gonna put 60 into this. I already put 15 up. See, there it is. There it is. That's where I saw it. Shadow President, Felicia Winters, professional media representatives, targeted media campaigns, blah blah blah. Take liberal propaganda. The prepare progress. In order for it to show up, in order for the prepared system to show up on that list of prepared systems, it has to get 50. It has to hit 50 on the prepare. So I got 60 here, plus I put 15. So I'm the only one working. I put 15 last time, so I'm the only one putting prepare progress in this thing. It'll be more if other people are putting stuff in there. Like this is just overall. That doesn't have to be just me, but I'm gonna put 60 in there. So now 75. Alright, and I got my 100 merits for the week, so I'll have the same rating next week now, and I got some credits back for that. There's 75. So we'll go over to the Galactic powers, and we'll see if it's listed under preparation. Big reveal. Oh, it's not. Maybe it's got a whatchamacallit. Maybe it's got a oh, plus it's the top 9 systems, so there might be other systems that are, you know, around the same amount. So I'd probably have to get 249 or close to 249. So go up there, unless there's there might be it might need to refresh might need to happen, so it might get refreshed later. If it's shown. Which is cool, it's all good. We can check under this and see top 9. But there you go. I mean, I'll probably have to do more work. I'll probably have to wait another 30 minutes and then bring 15 more over here. So on and so forth. Get that prepare progress up. Anyways, guys, I think I talked about what I wanted to talk about, so thanks for watching. I think I don't know, I guess I could keep playing and broadcasting, but I'm gonna go ahead and end it, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something more about the political power play, and check my other streams if you want to learn more about power play, or about trading. I did some trading on there. Trading's pretty simple. I went over some basic gameplay, or tried to anyway. I think I got kicked on that one, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Take care.